Once upon a time, in a small village, lived Keloğlan and his elderly mother. They were very poor, and one day their cupboard was completely bare. Seeing his mother's sadness, Keloğlan took his bag and said, "Don't worry, mother. I will go out into the world and find a way for us to earn a living." He walked for days through high mountains and deep valleys until he reached a dark, mysterious forest. Exhausted, he decided to rest near a massive cave. Little did he know, this was the home of a group of fearsome giants who had been terrorizing the nearby villages. The encounter. While Keloğlan was resting, the ground began to shake. 3 giants appeared, carrying stolen sheep on their backs. They were enormous, with teeth like pitchforks and eyes the size of dinner plates. Most people would have fainted from fear, but Keloğlan stood his ground. "Who are you, little worm?" roared the leader of the giants. "How dare you sit at our doorstep? We shall eat you for a snack." Keloğlan laughed, puffing out his chest. "Eat me? You should be careful. I am the chief of all heroes. I have come here to punish you for your crimes." The test of strength. The giants were taken aback by the small boy's confidence. "If you are so strong," the first giant said, picking up a massive stone, "can you squeeze water out of this rock?" The giant squeezed the stone until it crumbled into dust, but no water came out. Keloğlan reached into his bag, where he happened to have a piece of fresh white cheese he had brought from home. He hid the cheese in his hand, picked up a similar-looking white stone, and squeezed. As he squeezed, the liquid from the cheese dripped out onto the ground. "Look at that," Keloğlan smirked. "You only made dust. I squeezed the very soul out of the stone." The giants were terrified. They decided it was better to be his friend than his enemy, so they invited him into their cave for dinner. The midnight trickery. The giants, however, were still suspicious. They planned to kill Keloğlan while he slept. "When he falls asleep," they whispered, "we will hit his bed with our heavy iron clubs." Keloğlan, being clever, overheard them. When it was time to sleep, he placed a large log under his blanket to look like a sleeping person and hid in a dark corner of the cave. In the middle of the night, the giants crept up and smashed the log with all their might. They went back to sleep, convinced Keloğlan was gone. The next morning, Keloğlan walked into the kitchen, yawning and stretching. "Good morning. I slept well," he said, "though I think a couple of mosquitoes bit me during the night." "Did you feel them?" The giants trembled. To them, their massive iron clubs were mosquitoes. They realized they could never defeat such a powerful hero. The riches and the return. Desperate to get rid of him, the giants offered Keloğlan a deal. "Please, great hero, we will give you as much gold as you can carry if you just leave our forest and spare our lives." Keloğlan agreed. He filled several large sacks with gold and jewels. Since he couldn't carry them all himself, he made the giants carry the bags all the way to the edge of his village. The moral of the story: intelligence is always superior to brute force. Keloğlan returned home to his mother, and they lived the rest of their lives in comfort, proving that a sharp tongue and a quick wit are the greatest weapons of all. The story of Keloğlan and the giants offers several profound lessons that remain relevant even today. Here is the moral breakdown of the tale. Key lessons from the story. 1. The power of wit over brute force. The most significant lesson is that intelligence is a far more potent weapon than physical strength. While the giants were massive and capable of crushing rocks into dust, Keloğlan used his mind to achieve a result that seemed magical to them. It teaches us that being smaller or physically weaker does not mean you are at a disadvantage if you can think critically and creatively. 2. Confidence is half the battle. Keloğlan did not tremble or run away when faced with monsters 10 times his size. By acting with unwavering confidence, he shifted the psychological dynamic. He made the giants question their own power. This reminds us that how we present ourselves to the world often dictates how the world treats us. 3. Resourcefulness. Keloğlan didn't have magical artifacts. He had a piece of cheese and a log. He looked at ordinary objects and found extraordinary ways to use them to save his life. This encourages us to look at the resources we already possess and use them effectively to solve our problems. 4. Preparedness and observation. By staying alert and overhearing the giant's plan to strike his bed, Keloğlan avoided a fatal trap. Success often comes to those who are observant and stay one step ahead of their competition or their obstacles. Summary. True strength is not measured by the size of your muscles, but by the depth of your wisdom and the courage in your heart.